You need to know this. What do General Electric, eBay, Coca-Cola, Verizon, Boeing, Prudential, and Capital One all have in common? Well, they all paid their CEOs more than they paid in U.S. taxes last year. According to a new report by the Institute for Policy Studies, 25 of the biggest multi-billion-dollar corporations cut huge checks to their CEOs while dodging Uncle Sam and not paying their fair share in federal taxes last year. For example, GE paid their CEO Jeffrey Immelt, the notorious job outsourcer who also heads President Obama's Job Creation Council, $15 million and didn't pay one dime in taxes. In fact, they got a $3 billion rebate courtesy of you and me, the taxpayer. The CEO of eBay, John Donohue, got a fat $12 million paycheck last year, yet his corporation paid no taxes and, like GE, got a $131 million tax rebate. Verizon CEO Ivan Seidenberg made $18 million and then got a $705 million tax rebate from the government. And the list goes on and on, thanks to armies of corporate lobbyists who've blown massive holes in the corporate tax code, and unpatriotic CEOs who've dragged their corporate treasure chests overseas and stashed away profits in secret bank accounts in places like the Isle of Wight and the Cayman Islands. Each and every year, more and more corporations get by without paying any taxes at all. And when corporations like these don't pay their taxes, guess who gets stuck with the bill for the schools and courts and streets they use? You and me. As the California PIRG discovered, the United States loses approximately $100 billion in tax revenues every year due to corporations and individuals sending their money to offshore tax havens. In 2010, making up for this lost revenue cost the average U.S. tax filer, that's you and me, $434. That's enough money to feed a family of 4 for 3 weeks. Again, that's you and me paying more money so that multi-billion-dollar transnational corporations don't have to. But this isn't just about corporate tax dodgers. It's about corporate freeloaders. And it's high time to end corporate welfare as we know it. Here's how it works. Here's the basic summary of how the whole thing works. Here's our Democracyville USA, our little virtual city. And we have the people who live in the residences over here. And here's Main Street, a little car going down it. And we have the power plant, and we have the college or school. We've got City Hall. We've got the hospital. We've got the fire department, the police department. And then we've got the corporations, the big companies, the factories, the banksters, whatnot. And somebody's got to pay for all this stuff in the middle and for this street that the car goes down. And so, we all chip in a little bit. The residential, we pay our taxes, right? Some property taxes, some income taxes. We make a little money, maybe some taxes. And it used to be, in fact, during the Eisenhower administration, that there was just about an equal balance, that the corporations down here paid about 41% of the total tax load, and the residences over here paid about 41% of the total tax load, and the balance, the remaining 20%, was made up by taxes on goods being imported into the United States. Now, we did away with that so that the taxes things coming into the United States don't pay taxes, so that these guys can make a whole lot more money importing stuff and shutting down the factories. You notice we don't have any factories here anymore because we don't make anything anymore. So anyway, so it used to be that the corporations paid their fair share of the taxes too, because they actually use the police department. I mean, they need defense, right? And if somebody violates the law or something, they send the police after them. They use the fire department to protect their buildings. They use the hospital to it's part of the commons if somebody gets sick. They use the city hall extensively. Corporations require government in order to enforce contracts. If you can't enforce a contract, you can't do business. This is a major, major resource. And this, used to be paid for by the corporations. And here we have the Institutes of Higher Learning, The corporations are having to pay for this, of course, or you would think, because all of their employees have public educations. They learn how to read and write on our tax dollars. And then, of course, we have the utilities, the power, things like that. All of this, and the infrastructure, septic, water, all of this stuff, and the roads. All of this used to be paid for by both the corporations and by we the people. But now the corporations have figured out a way to take this money that they used to pay in taxes and shovel it all up and pass it over to the Cayman Islands or Bermuda or some other place where it's still kind of theirs. And, you know, if they need to, they'll kick a little of it back to City Hall, to the politicians, so that those politicians can get reelected, so that they can make sure that even more money is coming from us, you and me, and going to the taxes, or in some cases going to the Cayman Islands via these big corporations. And that's basically the scam. That's how it's worked. This 40% that these guys used to pay, it's now 11%. The 40% that we used to pay is now well over 50 or 60%. I mean, we've got, for example, the 2009 corporate income taxes paid as a percentage of GDP. We find that the United States is actually right down at the bottom. We have a 35% tax rate, but the fact of the matter is nobody pays it. And so when we look at, as a percentage of GDP, a little less than 3%, United States, we're only beat by Iceland. I mean, all the way up here, Israel, Belgium, Canada, Ireland, Denmark, Japan, Hungary, their corporations pay way more than ours do. Now, why would that be? Because their corporations don't have the ability to go to City Hall or the state capitol or whatever and say, you know, we're going to take a little bit of this money from the Cayman Islands and we're going to help get you guys elected so that you'll be sure that this money goes back to us, the corporations, and that we can put it in the Cayman Islands again. And that's how it works, and that's what we've got to change.